We all love Paris, but who can blame us? I mean, come on, the food, the wine, the history, it's all pretty incredible. But in our excitement, we may do things sometime that, shall we say, rub the Parisians the wrong way. So in this video, we're gonna break down the 25 tourist habits that annoys Parisians, so you can avoid those faux pas and have a beautiful experience. Allez, on y va. Parisians are getting fed up with people taking pictures of them without asking first, especially in places like boulangeries and shops. Look, I get it, those pastries are to die for, but the person behind the counter doesn't want to partake in your photo shoot. Taking photos of anyone or blocking the way for selfies can be super annoying. No one likes to find themselves the unwilling star of a complete stranger's vacation album. As a rule, always ask first if you can take pictures.
When you're in Paris, starting a conversation in English when you first arrive is probably not going to get you the best results. Keep in mind that the Parisians you're talking to may not speak English, and it may give the impression that the tourist isn't even trying to adapt to the local culture, and instead, it assumes that everybody speaks your language. It's a bit risky, isn't it? So when you arrive somewhere, start with bonjour and ask in French if they speak English. Parlez-vous anglais? It's really simple and it goes a long way. Bonjour, parlez-vous anglais? A little. Is it okay if I take a picture?
In France, service is always included, so there's no need to leave a 15 to 20% tip with your bill. In Paris and in France generally, waiters already receive a full salary, so you just need to leave a few euros if you want to thank the waiter, and it's not mandatory. Now beware, in some establishments, American tourists report that the tip is added directly to the bill. This practice is illegal. Just ask for your corrected bill without the tip.
The next one is about putting those love locks on the bridges, because that thing that people think is a charming gesture of love is considered vandalism by Parisians. And not only is it ugly and selfish, but it damages the infrastructure. On the Pont des Arts, they have to remove them all the time because of the extra weight on the bridge makes it a safety hazard. So find another way to express your love that doesn't have your locks ending in the garbage.
There is nothing in Emily in Paris that is close to reality. It's just pure fantasy. Now it's time to drop the stereotypes about the Parisians. Sure, some of them may be true, but the idea that Parisians are rude or Parisians hate speaking English, no, it's just that there is a right way to talk and approach them.
In Paris, you can wear whatever you want. Nobody cares. But we often get the question about how do I dress when I'm going to someplace nice like the Moulin Rouge or a fancy restaurant? And the answer is wear something that is appropriate for the venue. In the most elegant places like fancy restaurants, theaters, and so on, think country club attire. A collared shirt, a nice pair of pants, and some decent shoes.
Now, politeness is a fundamental value in France. This courtesy is particularly evident in public transport. Even though it's often packed, there is one golden rule to be observed. Give up your seat to the elderly, pregnant women, and women with small kids. And I know you've been walking 20,000 steps in Paris, but courtesy comes first.
The next one is tourists on their rental bicycles. That's something that irritates Parisians like crazy. Cycling through the city requires safety and courtesy. So stay alert, stay on the cycle path, and watch where you're going. And be respectful to other road users and red light. It's essential for a safe and enjoyable ride in Paris.
Now, most museums in Paris ban the use of selfie sticks. And I know that it can be useful when trying to take a family shot, but inside a museum, it's just really annoying to the other people around you. And if they catch you using it once inside, they may throw you out of the museum for breaking the rule. Also, not all museums allow video cameras. Make sure to look at the signs telling you if you can or cannot use it. And sometimes it's not the entire museum, but it's just a specific exhibit that does not allow photography. So pay attention and always ask first.
The next thing that drives Parisians crazy is when tourists use the city like their own personal movie set. Seriously, Paris is not your modeling backdrop. We see this behavior all the time near major attractions, with budding starlets trying to reproduce the same picture that has already been produced 1,000,000 times. It's not only silly, It's really annoying to the locals.
Trying to find the right hotel for you in Paris is like looking for a needle in a haystack. So we've put together a guide with 125 of our favorite hotels sorted by arrondissement. I put a link in the description. Check it out and see if it's a good fit for you. In France, many shops are closed on Sundays and Mondays, and their operating hours are also very different. Many shops don't open before 9 a.m. They close for lunch between 12 and 2, and then close for the day by 7 p.m. And the same goes for restaurants. Food service closes at 2:30 and won't reopen until 7 p.m. So when you walk in at 2:25 p.m. for lunch, that's truly annoying to the waiters and the chef. And chances are they'll refuse to give you service anyway.
The next one may sound a little funny, but you'd be surprised how often people ask if they can pay for their purchases in dollars instead of euros. Nobody will accept your US dollars or other foreign currencies when you're in France. Our currency is the euro, and the good news is that you can pay with a credit card from anywhere in the world, even at local markets. But if you try to buy your croissant with dollars instead of euros, that's a great way to get an eye roll from a boulangerie.
Now do yourself a favor and resist the urge to overpack. France has stairs and cobblestone streets everywhere. You're going to block the sidewalks, block the stairs in the metro, and annoy everybody in the process. Not to mention that cars are very small and probably can't handle your oversized suitcase. If you can't fit it in a carry-on, you probably don't need it. And most people say they ended wearing half the stuff they brought with them anyway.
The next one has to do with shopping and haggling for prices in the markets. The price is what the price is, and that's that, just like in a store. But haggling for products and services will be poorly received by the locals. One exception to that may be the clothing and jewelry merchants at the local market, but even there, I'd take that cautiously. You may seriously annoy the vendors.
Someone who skips saying bonjour when they enter a store or a shop or meet someone for the first time will occur as disrespectful. And saying merci is the basic level of politeness in France. When I hear people saying the French are rude, I'm often wondering if they forgot to say bonjour or merci, because these little words are the social norms in France. If you forget them, believe me, you won't leave a good impression.
In Paris, for the most part, people are very quiet and discreet, and they think of Americans as loud and exuberant tourists. So when visitors start speaking loud in public, where everyone can hear everything they say, it's really not appreciated. The trick is to be aware of your surroundings and respect everyone's privacy and tranquility. That way everyone is happy. So just turn it down a little bit and blend in.
Everyone in Paris wants to stop and take a picture and capture the moment. And usually it comes at everybody else's expense. With the constant crowds in Paris, if everyone takes photos at every turn, cohabitation is likely to be complicated. Let's keep sharing in mind when in public spaces and move to the side to take your pictures.
The next one is about not waiting in line or taking forever to place an order. Parisians sometimes lose their Zen attitude when they're faced with tourists who don't want to bother waiting in line or who take forever trying to explain in English what they want. Waiting in line is a perfect time to answer an email or daydream for a few minutes, and it's sacred. But when tourists throw a wrench into that peaceful exchange, things take a turn for the worse, and what you end up with is grumpy Parisians.
Now, if you want to stop to take a picture because you see something beautiful or you need your bearings and look at your GPS, please do not stop abruptly where you are. The locals are probably going to work or trying to go home, and it's really annoying that you're blocking the way. My advice, move to the side and don't block the path. The people around you have a place to go.
The next one is not respecting the stay to the left rule when you're on escalators and walk paths. If you're on vacation and you're not in a hurry, keep to the right. And above all, leave room on your left for people passing you. Parisians on the way to work are in a hurry, and it doesn't take much more than a tourist blocking the path to really upset a Parisian.
We all know that mobile phones have become part of our lives, and sometimes it feels like they're glued to our hands. But after an exhausting day, we all yearn for a little peace and quiet and a well-deserved break. So try to reduce your phone use in public spaces. Turn down the volume and use earbuds. Nobody wants to hear your call or your video calls to your family back at home.
The next one is when tourists only visit the major attractions. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't visit the Louvre or even climb to the top of the Eiffel Tower, but there's so much more to visit in Paris. Discover the lesser-known neighborhoods like Belleville, visit fascinating museums like Carnavalet, and explore the banks of the canals of Saint-Martin, for example.
Another annoying behavior is people getting drunk on the lawn by the Eiffel Tower. We love our wine in France, but we drink it responsibly, especially in a setting like a picnic on the lawn with kids around. And you may get arrested. Drinking is not illegal, but public drunkenness is.
The next thing that really annoys Parisians is when tourists are walking around eating and drinking. I mean, you can really enjoy a croissant while you're strolling on the riverbank, but overall, the French like to sit down and take the time to enjoy what they just bought. Get some food to go find a nice bench or a park or a riverfront to sit on, and relax and enjoy it.
And finally, if you're going to have a picnic in a park, on the square, on the riverbank, please take your trash with you. Many parks in Paris have a rat problem, and I'm not talking ratatouille culinary genius here. The problem is because people leave their unfinished sandwiches and pastries for the pigeons. The problem is that pigeons may start the feast, but it will attract rodents, and that's truly annoying for the people living nearby. In this video, we talk to you about the 25 habits that annoy Parisians. Next, I would watch this video about the cultural differences between Americans and the French.